I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Board Game Breakfast. We're here at Universal Studios because we've been working on getting the Kickstarter stuff out. We had to come to Orlando to do that, so we figured we would freak ourselves out, spook ourselves to death at Hollywood Horror Nights. But I'm afraid of these things. I don't like to come alone. And
can you hurry up, because we're going to go in to go see the haunted houses now.
I'm scared! But the good news is, well, not the good news, but the news. Let's get to it. So let's take a look at the news. First of all, Jasco is rescuing Evil Dead 2. Apparently this was a Kickstarter that was launched by Space Goats, another company. They weren't able to fulfill it, so Jasco swoops in to save the day and do the Kickstarter fulfillment. But they have to do a Kickstarter of their own, and it can't be the exact same game. They can use the components, but not the whole game. It's a little confusing. Z-Man has announced Great City of Rome. This is from Matthew Dunstan and Brett Gilbert. I like the combination of those guys a lot. I have to say that this theme doesn't do anything for me. It looks very generic, you know, yet another Roman game. But these designers do a great job. Let's talk about Hokkaido. This is from Renegade Games. This looks like a sequel to Honshu. Well, they mentioned Honshu. They say it's the second in the Nippon series. Now, I don't know if these are compatible with each other. It looks like the same game from the pictures, so I'm not really sure what is going on with these two games, but it's interesting. I didn't know that Honshu was popular enough to warrant more games in that series, but well, who knows. WizKids has announced Dungeons & Dragons Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So this is the next one that works with Castle Ravenloft and all those different games. This one's going to have two different sets. A pre-painted set, deluxe set, and a regular set. Environment cards, lots of more stuff basically. But you can go up to level 4 with your heroes, so that's different. The International Game Awards, the IGA Awards, have been announced. The winners for both of them, they're handed out at Essen. Rajas of the Ganges won their multiplayer award, and the two-player one was Codenames Duet. Eggert Spiel and Alexander Pfister. Now this is a big announcement. It's coming out of Essen. Blackout Hong Kong. People are going bananas over this because it's a good combo, right? Eggert Spiel, owned by Plan B Games now, so the game looks beautiful. And Alexander Pfister, who's one of the most popular designers out there now, about a game where there is a blackout, some sort of energy blackout, and you have to get, deal with things while the lights are out and everything. The game looks phenomenal. It looks cool. I'm very, very excited about this one. Scythe Encounters. These are a few encounter cards that fans voted on. I think it's like 20 new ones that you'll be able to add to Scythe. So this is like an auto get for anyone who likes Scythe. That's pretty cool. Renegade has announced a reprint of Trajan, this Stefan Feld game, thought by many to be his best. I guess Castle of Burgundy is probably the other one that people like a lot. But this one, very well thought of. This is the very definition of point salad. A lot of people like this. It looks like the game looks like it's pretty much the same. The box is a little bit different, but cool. And a new Catan scenario being released at Essen. The Crop Trust scenario where you're all trying to keep from starving. So there's some sort of cooperative mode to this. I don't know if this is a big deal or not. We'll see where Asmodee takes Catan. Well, that's the regular news. Let's keep moving.
Hello fellow gamers, Glory Hound here. I hope today you're ready to talk to me about Kickstarters because I found some really sweet ones this week. Now, I have to warn you, I do have a favorite that I'm already 100% backing, but there's not enough time for me to explain why I hit that back button so fast. However, if you are interested in knowing why, I talk about all of these Kickstarters on Friday in depth live, okay? So let's get started. First up, we have Lovelace and Babbage. This is by Artana Games. This is for 2 to 4 engineers looking to program their computers first in this real-time math racing game. This takes about 15 to 30 minutes. It's a press your luck game as you try to fit in as many number combinations as possible before the timer ends to get patrons to look at your work. And then you can use special skills and abilities that your scientists have to affect your opponent's code. Although this might resemble a roll and write, it's actually a really quick little programming game that's well worth your $20. Now, if you're looking for something a little more deathly, then perhaps Hollywood Death Race by Mangrove Games is for you. This game is for 2 to 6 Hollywood heroes from the 80s looking to race through old movie sets in this modular board game that lets you maneuver cars around the track and use special abilities based off of characters to thwart your foes. Or you can even bump them into hazards. Now, this game plays in about 45 to 90 minutes, and it reminds me of like a really souped up version of Thunder Road. This game can be yours for $58, maybe. So the next game that I found is this really cute little filler game. It's called Penguin Slap by Rich Hardy. This game is for 2 to 4 supposed penguins looking to slap yummy fish out of other opponents' flippers, fins, little penguin hands. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm sure somebody in the comments will tell me what penguin hands are. Now, you can play slap cards, or your opponent can play counter slap cards to slap you back. However, the really cool part of this game is the colored fish that act as equipment cards. Now, it acts as equipment cards, abilities that you can use on other penguins. You can use these to cap ice and limit other players' draw options. This slap happy game plays in about 15 to 30 minutes, and it'll cost you $20, but you know what? I really see this winning over family gatherings in particular because it has a really cute and simple, like a really cute theme to it and very simple mechanics, okay? Now, speaking of mechanics, our next one up is Tower of Arcanos. This is by Creative Game Studio. It has some really interesting things to it. Now, this is a tower building game for 2 to 4 wizards that are looking to gain mystical skills and prestige by drafting dice and then placing apprentices in towers. You can also block opponents by moving your apprentices into a tower without dice, okay? Then you cap the towers and open up all new different abilities. Like, it's kind of like an evolving game, which is really interesting. So this magical game, you can play it in about 20 to 30 minutes, but it'll cost you $50. And keep in mind, we do have 2 first-time creators on this, which is the Tower of Arcanos and Penguin Slap. So keep in mind that these projects may take longer to get your product because they might not know of all the pitfalls that they have in store for them, okay? Because crazy stuff happens, especially around the holidays. Chinese New Year comes in, like people don't get their stuff, so don't plan on that, all right? Now, thank you so much for joining me today. If you're interested in hearing more about any of these Kickstarters, hop on over to gloryhound.com. That's where you can watch me live on Fridays and join in on the conversation of all the things you just saw. Other than that, I will see you guys next week.
In Iraq, in the city of Ramadi, ISIS is around. You don't know where. IEDs are planted. Where? You don't know. And the game is called The Battle for Ramadi, the final assault on the city. It's dramatic, but this is the way I feel playing this game. I mean, it's a solitary game. You're in Iraq. You're trying to liberate the city from ISIS. Where are they? You don't know, so you go from house to house. Well, if that doesn't put a little je ne sais quoi in your spine, you're tough. The Battle for Ramadi, the final assault on the city. The 22nd to the 20th of December 2015. A game published by Tiny Battle Publishing. The game design, Jay Ward, and the art, Ilya Kudryashov. So in this game, you have to liberate the city of Ramadi from the ISIS forces. So you have your troops, and you go through the streets from house to house. But as you're going through the streets, is there an IED? Are you gonna lose guys? If ISIS pops out, do you call for air reinforcement? They're civilians. What do? The mosque. ISIS is in there. Do you bomb the mosque? No, I don't think so. The game plays ISIS. Really tense. Every turn around every corner, you gotta make decisions. The stuff you get with this game is a 17 by 22 inch map, 85 double-sided counters, a rule booklet 8 pages long, and a handy dandy Ziploc bag to keep all your game components ready for play. The Battle for Ramadi, the final assault on the city, is a solitaire game designed by Jay Ward, published by Tiny Battle Publishing. This is an inexpensive game. It's solitaire, so you don't have to wait for anybody to play or whatever, and lots of fun, very tense. Thank you for watching, and if you want to know more about war games, please check out my channel, No Enemies Here.
Hi, Suzanne here with this week's featured board game app. I'm a big fan of solo play games that get converted into app format. I just think they're really fun and convenient to play. Well, one of my favorite solo games, One Deck Dungeon, has made it into the mobile app world. So how does this dice allocation dungeon delver do in digital form? Let's take a look. In One Deck Dungeon from Asmati Games, your champion kicks open doors to fight off traps and monsters. Dice represent different character traits like strength, agility, and magic. To beat an enemy, you have to match dice to the slots on the card with matching dice values. A single square gets a single die of that type with that value or higher, and rectangular blocks let you use multiple dice to fulfill those. When collected, the multi-use enemy cards can be used as an item, skill, or for experience points on your character. It's your choice, and it's a really important choice in how your character builds up for the final battle. Now, even if you lose, you still get the card, but you'll lose some combination of time and health. And time matters because the longer you can go, the more likely you are to gather power-ups for your character to beat that final boss. As in the physical game, in One Deck Dungeon, the app, different bosses have different difficulty levels, and evolving your character to beat the specifics of that boss is a critical strategic element to the game. There are also different difficulty settings that you can choose from that kind of change up how the game is set up, and overall the app is feature-rich. There's an interactive tutorial and in-app rules which are sufficient to teach you the game and serve as reference material. There are also a nice number of in-app options to customize your gameplay experience. But beyond that, I find the One Deck Dungeon app takes a game I really like in real life and makes it a bit quicker and a bit more portable. The hero progression system that allows you to build up each character, eventually earning them permanent abilities that will help you take on the more challenging boss, well, you can totally do that in real life with the paper tracker that comes in the game, but the app makes this so simple to manage and incorporate. You can play one-off dungeon delves, work on a single character's ongoing progression, or even try the gauntlet mode. And beyond the base game, the app offers some one-off characters and bosses as IAP, and the complete Forest of Shadows expansion was also added as an add-on, which practically doubles the enemies and characters that you can choose from. The app is available for Android and Steam, but on iOS it's only on the iPad, and I really wish it worked on the phone too. One Deck Dungeon has a bit of randomness in what enemies pop up and, of course, those dice. But the more you play, you really get a feel for what you can fight and what you have to flee from early game and how to smartly manipulate those dice. The interface has a fair amount of info on it going on, but it all makes sense once you play through part of a round, and the interaction with the dice and the enemy cards is intuitive, and there's even an undo button. Thanks to a thoughtful and skillful port by Handelabra Games, One Deck Dungeon is a game I love in real life, but actually play far more frequently in app form. I recommend you give it a try.
Alright, so what's coming out from the Dice Tower this week? Well, not a lot of reviews. Instead, this week, each day, we're going to be doing a lot of live game testing. We're just going to show you what it's like when we pull games off the shelf and try them for the first time. Some of them we'll know how to play ahead of time. Some of them we're playing for the very first time. But we're going to be doing that all week long. So it starts at 11:30 today, and we'll go to around 5 p.m. This is all Eastern Standard Time. And we'll do that around each day. Some days we'll start earlier and earlier, but we'll do that Monday through Friday. Now, we're still going to do another one of our top 100s of all time, but that won't be until Saturday. So the next segment and that will also be coming out this week. And of course, the Dice Tower podcast. Eric and I talk about our 10 favorite convention experiences. So that you can find that and all the other great podcasts on DicetowerNetwork.com. So that's what's on.
We do hurry up because the line's moving and we got to go in.
This is scarier than anything else here.
Hello. Hello guys, I'm Cardboard Rhino and welcome to one more Rhino Says Yes. Today I want to talk about a unique party game full of bluffing and mischievous grins. It's Spyfall 2. Spyfall is a very simple party game where you get to be a spy and get to understand what's going on around you. The game only contains sets of cards with location. Each round you use a different set, and each set has the same location with various roles of people that can be found there. For example, in their retirement home, you could be an elderly woman, a nurse, a relative, and so on. The game is played over several rounds, and at the start of each round, all players receive one card showing the location of that round, except one player who receives a card that says Spy instead. So that player would be the only one not knowing where they are. Players then start asking each other questions, like anything they can come up with that would convey that they know the location without actually revealing it, and that would help the group deduct who the spy is. The spy, who obviously has no clue about the location, tries to come up with questions and answers that won't give away his ignorance. Anytime during a round, a player can accuse another of being a spy. If all other players agree with the accusation, the round ends and the accused player has to reveal his identity. If that player was indeed the spy, all other players score points. However, the spy can himself end a round by taking a guess at what the secret location is, and if it's correct, only the spy scores points. Spyfall 2 is the same as the first Spyfall, but it ups the player count from 8 to 12 and introduces a second spy, offering a bigger challenge. There is some delicate balance and tension in this game. No one wants to be dealt the spy card because it's stressful, but if you do it once, then you realize that it helps you shoot ahead in the scoring, and also you get to practice getting away with stuff. There is improvisation, there is good perception, there is assessment of the others, and also quick thinking involved. I love the fact that it's so simple and freeform, giving the players the tools to have a super fun time. So Rhino says yes to Spyfall 1 and 2. You should check it out.
Greetings and welcome to the Mega Meeple. I'm Thomas Grogan, and this week, in continuing my horror-themed board games to play on Halloween, I'm talking about Last Friday by Ares Games. Now, if you like Fury of Dracula and Letters from Whitechapel, this is pretty much the same thing, type of game, hidden movement, deduction, but it has a bit of a twist to it. It's for 2 to 6 players, where one player plays the killer and the other players play the happy campers, which won't be happy for very much longer. Now, the objectives of each chapter is different. So it's 4 chapters. In chapter 1, the campers are being hunted by the killer, and the campers are seeking for keys along the campsite for cabins that they could get into and hide away from the killer. In chapter 2, the roles are reversed because campers kind of take an issue of being hunted down and killed. So they take matters into their own hand and start hunting down and seek the killer while the killer is trying to evade the campers. Now, at the end of chapter 2, whichever camper finds the killer, they become the predestined. So in chapter 3, the killer is trying to kill the predestined while the other campers are trying to protect the predestined from the killer. Then finally in chapter 4, the predestined hunts down the killer while the killer is trying to escape the campsite, and all the other campers are trying to block the killer's escape. And again, all these chapters are done with the campers not knowing the exact location of the killer. So until next week, stay scary.
Chris Renshaw here. Have you been interested in RPGs and you're starting to evolve past the beginner phase and you may want to give GMing a try, but you're just not sure you're good at that kind of on-the-spot thinking up of stories? Well, I've actually got a board game that can help you with RPGs. It's called Before There Were Stars from Smirk and Laughter Games, or Smirk and Dagger, whichever way you want to think. And it's a game where you are telling kind of these folktale sort of stories. There are these prompt cards, and based on the items that come out, you will look and incorporate those bits into your story and then rate each other on who can tell the best story given the items that they've drafted. It's really cool. It's got awesome dice and components. It looks really nice. And it's just really great for that sort of getting your brain into that practice of on the spot kind of creative thinking. So if you're definitely the kind of person that just wants some practice running games before actually having to run game, then I would pick up this board game Before There Were Stars and play through a couple rounds of it either by yourself or with some friends to just get in the habit of telling stories. And I can definitely say that this will help you when it comes time to run your RPGs. Have you played Before There Were Stars? What did you think of the game? Let me know down in the comments below. In the meantime, make sure you follow me on social media. And until next time, may all your hits be crits.
Hey guys, and welcome to Tantrum House HQ. Today we're doing an after party for a Fruit Ninja combo party. We're going to talk about what we loved, what we hated, who won, and how. Alright, so what do we love?
I love that we can grab the katana sword.
That is one of the best parts of the game.
I'm actually really bad at grabbing the katana sword.
Is that what we hate?
I don't know. I like that they're taking all these board game mechanics like the dexterity, the push your luck, the card drafting, and it all like works so well together.
Yeah, and I think Lucky Duck does a really great job of translating the same experience you get with the apps that they're working on and then putting that into a board game. That's very cool.
Yeah, one difficulty might be color blindness. The problems that everybody has, whether or not you're colorblind, is most of the fruit is similar colors with the background color. So it makes it a little more difficult and tricky. So if you grab the katana and it's not a match, you lose points.
But they all have different shapes, so I think even if you are colorblind, I think you'll be okay.
Even if you can't see, it's hard. I think that is the point, right? Yeah. I love how quick it is to just jump in and play. You can determine the number of rounds. It plays a good number of people, 3 to 6, and it's really easy for every range of gamer type to be able to have a good time with the game.
I think the push your luck is really interesting. Are you going to go for those high points and those bonus cards, or are you going to play it safe?
Yeah, and you got those matches. Should I go for matches or should I go for the difference?
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. Thanks for watching our after party. We have done a whole playthrough of this on our YouTube channel as well. And be sure to subscribe to Tantrum House.
Hi folks, this is Jonathan for Harsh Opinion, and today I'm going to talk about my personal top 5 game mechanics that I don't like. And for each of those, I'm going to show you one example and one exception to the rule. So here we go. My number 5 is co-op game, but I really like Spirit Island. I think this is an amazing game. It's even in my top 100 games of all time, and I got here about 2,000 games, and I played a bunch more, so I know what I'm talking about. This is such a great game, and they use strategy in a way that I've never seen before, and they take care of the alpha player in such a classy way. So number 5, co-op games that I don't like, but this one is pretty good. Number 4, it's pick up and delivery, but Whistle Stop, it's still an amazing game. Where you gonna build the networks and try to move your trains around, pick up cubes and drop them in city to gain points. But the overall package, it's such an amazing game, especially with the expansion, so I really like that game. Number 3, it's push your luck. And in Abyss, got your push your luck mechanics when you're gonna turn cards and the other player's gonna decide if they want to buy the cards. If not, you're gonna decide if you want the cards, or if you don't want, you're gonna turn another one. But sometimes you end up with cards that you really don't want to. But because this is not the main focus of the game, because there's other actions you can do, that's why I still love Abyss. Number 2, it's roll and move, and the exception to the rule, it's room bound, where you try to do quests, leveling up, buying some stuff, but you move by throwing some dice with Terran pictures on them and try to match them with the actual X's you try to move on. There's still ways to mitigate the luck, but I really like the way they did that game. They tweaked the roll and move game in such a classy way. That's why I like it. And number 1 of game mechanics I really hate, it's stock market and shares. And my favorite games is Arkwright. I don't even know why I like this game. It's just an amazing game. It's drab. There's not a lot of graphic design, but I think with all of those games, included this one, it's just because it's the game mechanics I don't like. It's just not the whole focus of the game. It's just a part of it. And maybe in this one a little bit more than the other ones, but still. So this is my top 5 game mechanics I hate. So please leave comments in the section below and tell me which are your game mechanics that you really don't like. Thank you for watching. See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Hi, Mike Licio from Solomode Games. Recently, some friends of mine and I have gotten together regularly to play Scythe. We're doing this because we're gearing up to start the Rise of Fenris campaign, and this particular group wants to have all the rules down and feel like we can go pretty quickly through the game so that we have the best experience possible. And what this has really cemented for me is that Scythe truly is my number 1 game. I absolutely adore it, both multiplayer and solo, and although there have been some worthy contenders to the crown, right now it's my number 1 game. I bring this up because it's the one game where I have really felt compelled to go above and beyond with adding upgraded components and getting all of the accessories that I possibly can. So I just recently got the Legendary box. You can probably see it's still in shrink. I got the Legendary Organizer that I'm going to add to the Organizer that's in my base game box to kind of have it all together with my upgraded components and my extended board and just about anything that you can get, I think, I've gotten for this game because I truly enjoy it and I feel compelled to do so. Now, most of my other games, I don't feel that same drive. I will sometimes get the deluxe versions of games because I like the nice components, and especially if there are minis involved, if they have a pre-painted option, I'm always going to go for that as I'm not a painter. But I wanted to get the impressions of everybody else as far as what percentage of your games would you say you feel compelled to get these kind of aftermarket upgraded components? Is this something you do at all? Because the cost on these can oftentimes be at least as much, if not more, than the game itself. Certainly with Scythe, I have clearly spent more on the upgrades and the accessories than I did on the base game itself. So if you can let me know in the comments below what your opinion is on this. Do you bling out your games quite a bit or not at all? I'd love to hear what you have to think. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.
So every once in a while I get tired of board gaming. That's one of the questions people ask me all the time. Do you ever get tired of board gaming now that it's your full-time job? Well, first of all, I don't get that tired of board gaming. I always tell people the same thing, like sometimes I get tired of board gaming, so I don't play games for a few hours and then I'm ready to go back. Now, it's not necessarily that. There's definitely days, weekends that I don't play board games. But I think a lot of it has to do with doing other things besides just playing games. I like to do a variety of, activities. I'm very involved in my church. I'll play video games sometimes, I'll read books. There's just a variety of things that I do that don't involve playing board games. And so, like this trip that we are now on the way back home from, this is all being recorded out of order. This trip where we went up, and we were working on stuff. It was a work trip. We had to go up to Cool Stuff to just check on things that we're taking to Essen and to PAX Unplugged, and for our Kickstarter, for this Kickstarter, for next Kickstarter, a lot of different things. And So we went on this trip, but then we also went to Universal together, and it's just fun to hang out with these guys. It's fun to do things with the guys because they are fun to hang out with, and I found that a lot of people that I do things with outside of board gaming, like if I do some other activity, a lot of the people I play board games with, I hang out with. And I'm always interested when I hear about people talk about, like, oh yeah, I'll play board games with these people, but I wouldn't do anything else with them. Sure, I mean, I can see that obviously. Sometimes your only shared interest with someone is board gaming itself. But I don't know, I just like, to me, if I just play board games with someone, then they're an acquaintance. They're not really a friend because I don't want to do anything else with them. But if I do various things with them besides board gaming, then they're truly a friend. So sure, sometimes I get sick of board games, but it never really lasts that long. And then I just do something else that's fun. Also, I'm not driving. Jason is.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Hey, keep your eyes on the road!
Oh, take it back here.
Eyes on the road!
We had a great time at Universal. Friendship is the most important thing. Be friends with your gaming buddies. Do things. Roar! And I'll look at the road now.
That's what we think.
Howdy folks, welcome to By the Numbers. My name is Hunter Thomason from the Family Showdown. On each episode of By the Numbers, we take a look at a board game numeric related topic. This week's topic, board game resolutions. On last week's board game breakfast, Tom Vasel looked at goals, and he specifically mentioned some board game goals.
There's different goals people do. Some people do a 10 by 10 where they pick 10 games and they say they want to play them 10 times over the course of the year. There's 100 times 1 where people try to pick 100 different games and play them over the course of the year. I've done that at least.
Coincidentally, I already had scheduled for this week a discussion about board game resolutions. So over on our Family Showdown channel, we decided to do a board game resolution in October. Our resolution for this year is to play our entire collection one time each. So I did some little calculations, did some spreadsheet action, and I found out we have 342 games, not including expansions, and not including games specifically for our children. My wife Rebecca and I recently had a discussion about all the games in our collection that do not get played. I feel our collection is full of great games, but we just don't pick them for one reason or another. Thus, the challenge was born of playing every game in our collection. At the end of the year, we're going to look at all the games that we have not played and have a discussion about why they haven't been played and justify why we should keep those games. Otherwise, they're out the door. So what board game challenges have you done in the past and why? And did they turn out as well as you expected? See you next time.
Hey there everyone, it's Jen, the board game librarian, flipping some pages and pushing some cubes with this week's segment, From the Page to the Table. Once this week, right? Once. Thank you for all the comments last week too. We're going to do week 2 spooky / Halloween themed games, and this week's segment is one of my favorite psychological thrillers, and that is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I listened to this one a couple of years ago for the Classics Book Club that I used to run, and Shirley Jackson is a master at getting in your head. For strangers are invited to this house in Vermont and something strange is afoot there. It's deeply engrossing, and again, she gets in your head. She does an excellent job at that. And the ending, you're not going to see it coming. It's a wonderful ending too. So one of my favorite ones to pair with The Haunting of Hill House is Mysterium. 2 to 7 players, and I have a spooky friend again this week. 42 minutes. Mysterium is such a wonderful gateway game too. What I love explaining to Mysterium to people is that it's like Clue, but like the next generation of Clue. So again, you have a group of strangers who've been invited to a house, something strange has been afoot, and you're all there to solve what's going on. You're working cooperatively, as the people in The Haunting of Hill House also are. But just, again, very engrossing, this back and forth dialogue that's going on as you're trying to figure out what's going on, who killed the ghost. So a great pairing here. That's all for this week. Happy breakfast!
Welcome to this week's episode of Gaming with the People.
So this week, Targi. So Targi is a 2-player only worker placement game. It plays in about an hour. There's actions, there's resources. The way you secure cards in the middle is this interesting grid happening where you place a guy in this row, and then you place a guy in the column, and then you get the intersecting card.
I'd just like to state for the record that worker placement is my jam. Dan is terrible at worker placement games. It's awesome. So I liked it.
My wife is uber talented when it comes to 2-player worker placement games. So this is in her wheelhouse. For some reason, she becomes just a mere mortal when you add more players.
It's going really well. It's going great. I like that you get to set up your own grid. I like, again, that I'm always the winner. I also just, side note, I enjoy dates. So this game is a win for me. 6 thumbs up for Targi. Yeah, this one's kind of a long game, which babies love long-term things. They've got great focus. It went great. Should we play another round?
There's a little engine building in this game too, because some of the tribe cards you can buy give you persistent benefits. Some will give you no persistent benefits, but they tend to be worth more victory points at the end of the game.
I liked it a lot. I also got some really good cards at the front of the game that rewarded me the entire way through. And Dan didn't. So
I'm trying. I try, and I mix up my strategy. For some reason, 2-player worker placement. She should have majored in that in college. Basically, is what I'm saying. She missed her calling.
Welcome to The Pitch.
Hi everyone, my name is Dave Luza, and I quickly want to use this time to pitch something to you that is really helpful, at least to me. Right now on the Board Game Geek Essen preview list, we've got over 1,000 entries, and each week new games still get added to it. Yes, I'm looking at you, Blackout Hong Kong. How do you manage such a huge list with over 1,000 entries? Well, I use a tool. It's called tabletoptogether.com/tool. That's where you can find it. It's an amazing way of managing your list. And what I really like is you can do bulk actions. So you can ignore certain types of games in a certain age range that you're not interested in. Don't like worker placement? Just ignore it. Like games in a certain category? Well, then just look for those. You can add your friends to it and compare your lists with them. It is such an easy way. So that's tabletoptogether.com/tool. It's free!
Hello, my name's Dan, and this is Cora, and we're here today to talk to you about games for young children. And today we're going to talk to you about this game. What is it, Cora?
Think words.
Think words.
In Think Words, the players are given a category and have 10 seconds to think of a word that fits within it. You then press down the letter that the word begins with, and then it's the next player's go. However, they're not allowed to say any words beginning with the letter that's already been used. Now, that's an extremely clumsy way of describing a very simple game, so perhaps the best way of explaining it is by demonstration.
Can we do that one?
Yeah.
Yay.
TV shows.
Yay.
Go.
2 times go.
Last summer line.
Where's the V? Where's the V? Is there a V on there?
V.
Oh no, I was going to say fourth one. Anything else?
Huh?
So, Cora, what did you think about Think Words?
I think it's really good because who knows who's going to win?
Who knows who's going to win? I usually win, because I'm the best. I do usually win because, to be honest, you're at a little bit of a disadvantage, aren't you? Because there's cards like James Bond villains and characters and stuff like that. So we have to be a bit selective in which categories we do. Although we could make up our own categories, couldn't we? We could do Power Rangers, and then you'd win.
Yes.
Although I could do a good guess. Pink Power Ranger, yellow Power Ranger.
Oh, you know.
Blue Power Ranger, Indigo Power Ranger, Violet Power Ranger.
Nope.
No, I'm pretty sure there's a Violet Power Ranger.
No, there isn't.
So we give think words, or tapple as it's called in America, I think. We give it 2 thinking thumbs up.
How do they do that? Okay.
I don't know.
I'm not an expert in anything, really, but the one thing I'm particularly not good at is Magic the Gathering. All the sets, and all the cards, and all the drama. I don't really like drama, I'm more of a tragedy kind of guy. And it's sad because that might be the best joke of the whole series. Oh well. But there's one format of Magic the Gathering that I've really begun to kind of love, and that's Commander. Commander's a multiplayer format with longer games and added politics, which kind of appeals to the board gamer of me with loads of tactics and long-term strategy and messing with people's brains. My Commander deck's called Political Squirrels because I'm a silly little blighter. And one of the best things about it is that you can buy pre-constructed Commander decks which are really good. I mean, I've got 4 and it kind of takes away that pay-to-win problem. And it's casual, which really appeals to the part of me that hates people. So if you are interested in Magic the Gathering and I just don't know where to start because it's so kind of mind-boggling, then I really suggest you kind of just pick up a Commander deck and give it a go because it's a great entry into the hobby and probably where I'd want to stay. So if you're interested in Magic the Gathering, I suggest you try Commander. Or don't. As I say, I'm pretty casual. Bye.
Well, there you go. I made it back from the trip. Lots of fun was had by everybody. Thanks so much for watching another Board Game Breakfast. Don't forget, we're doing live stuff all week long. So come back later on today at 11:30. We'll be playing some games live. I hope to see you then. Until next time, though, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast with Dice Tower.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff in stock at CoolStuffInc.com.